Thank you, Francesco. Thank you to the organizers. It's a true pleasure to be here with so many esteemed colleagues and really an amazing setting and so far very amazing talks. So congratulations to all the other speakers. So Greg and the Chancellor asked me to speak really about translation, some strategies. I'm by profession and not just an epidemiologist and internist, but also occupational physician. So I work a lot with workplaces, but I will address other sectors as well, try. I don't claim to have all the answers. I think we'll raise more questions than we have answers, but I think it will segue also well from a lot of the other talks today. So on the theme of going back to the future, in ancient Hippocratic medicine, Hippocrates, everyone knows, like many medical schools, are colleges of physicians and surgeons. But Hippocrates actually had 3 branches of medicine. And the third one, even though several people are saying now diet is a dirty word, had a different meaning in ancient Greek. So in ancient Greek, dieta was the way of living. So this is, we can translate this more into modern terminology as lifestyle medicine. So this is a part of medicine that existed from Hippocratic times, but was lost. I also people are familiar with the Hippocratic Oath and many other things, but very few people are familiar with his treatise on air, water, and places. So he was one of the first environmental physicians and one of the first physicians to recognize that disease came largely from external causes. And so persons' living conditions were very influential on their longevity and life and everything. So while the branches of medicine, the physics and the surgery have greatly advanced, at the societal level, as we've heard in many of the talks today, we're failing in terms of dietetics. Obesogenic environments, foods, sleep is decreasing, screen time increases, chronic diseases increase. So one solution proposed is to put lifestyle medicine back in medicine, but in all specialties of medicine, I think it fits. And there is a movement now in the States. We're putting a lifestyle medicine curriculum into our occupational medicine training program, but many internal medicine programs, family medicine programs are also doing this. So I think, as many speakers have said today, we largely know what to do. We're not that good at always doing it ourselves, and we're much worse at getting other people to do it. On a positive note, it has been recognized and mentioned earlier, Mediterranean diet is consistently being recognized as probably the most evidence-based pattern so far, both by consensus in private committees as well as in the DGA the last 2 times. Thank you, Frank, for that, probably. Another positive news is our colleague Ken Toong, who runs the dining service at University of Massachusetts. So he's #1 5 years in a row, and there are many other people like Rafi and Chris at Northeastern who are doing great work similarly. So people do like it if you do it the right way. So the time is short, so this is a review article regarding workplace lifestyle interventions. I'll just mention a few brief things about diet, and we can distribute the PDF for your full digestion later. But one of the ways you can do this in businesses, cafeterias, et cetera, is making sure healthy food is available, regulating the size of the portions, labeling healthier options in a certain way, positioning them more favorably, positioning less healthy foods farther away, incentivizing the prices towards healthier foods and against unhealthy foods, sometimes eliminating healthy foods, like such as in vending machines or sugar-sweetened beverages, teaching people how to cook and shop for food, and various combinations thereof. Also, we'll distribute this article, but several years ago, we brought together a number of people, many of them here in this room, to the Radcliffe Institute at Harvard to address how these questions, how we could better disseminate Mediterranean diet through various sectors. We raise various questions, challenges, and various approaches. And again, we can distribute that because we don't have time to go through the whole thing. A few specific examples. Some years ago, we received a grant from Department of Homeland Security in the US. We did a cluster randomized trial in fire departments in Indiana. So The fire stations were randomized as groups of workers to receive either a Mediterranean diet intervention or just do their usual thing. The intervention was mostly web-based. The firefighters on the example of PIRAMYD received some samples of nuts, extra virgin olive oil, coupons for discounts for healthy foods at supermarkets. The Mediterranean pyramid was adapted to their occupation. And we tried to digest the dietary instructions down to 5 simple steps, which again, we can distribute this, but, and people may disagree on the particular order of priority, but I think it largely summarizes the instructions for most people in a way that's palatable to a Midwestern American audience. At 6 months and 12 months, the intervention group had significant increases in a modified Mediterranean diet score as compared to baseline and also compared to the control group. We're finishing the analyses, and also more of them, about twice as many, increased their score more than 10% compared to the control group. Just another example, so the same pyramid was adapted for law enforcement officers. We haven't done a trial or an intervention in law enforcement, but you can imagine this could be adapted to many different groups with different logos, different symbols, different pictures. More recently, we received a grant from Homeland Security to develop a smartphone app. So because of the difficulties working with middle-aged persons in the previous study, difficulty, what I mean is it's difficult to get them to change their habits even more than, say, a younger person. And we also noticed in studies of fire recruits that after they do the training academy, which is basically a paramilitary period of between 12 and 18 weeks, they are in much better physical shape because they do exercise every day. It's regimented. Their diet is not carefully regulated, but it is better than it is in a typical firehouse with some of less bad influences. So we proposed to develop a smartphone app that focuses not just on diet, but physical exercise, adequate sleep, stress reduction, positive socialization, et cetera, kind of modeled after the Mediterranean lifestyle. And we're in the stage of development now, and then hopefully if that works, we will develop an intervention study subsequently. Another example with Professor Struck and colleagues in Barcelona from SEAT. We did a similar intervention. There are 3 factories of SEAT, which is, most people know, is an automobile company based in Barcelona. They have 3 factories in the Barcelona area. One was assigned to a Mediterranean diet intervention. The other was the control group. Most of the workers participate in an annual medical exam every year. And at the end of the intervention period, the workers in the intervention factory on average had better adherence to Mediterranean diet, better waist circumference, and improved inflammatory markers. And they also reported in questionnaires better quality of life and sleep. Some other types of attempts are for the general public. So in 2014, with Professor Willett and others at Harvard, we did a Mediterranean diet conference on the campus of Harvard School of Public Health. We combined presentations with healthy foods and things like this, working with our cafeteria, but it's really difficult to produce a full immersion experience of Mediterranean lifestyle within Boston. Professor Sophie mentioned his grandfather. In my case, my grandmother, you see in the circle on the left, a picture in her village close to 100 years ago. 40 years later is the picture of her holding me on the right. And so this was a person who brought the village to us, and she was going out collecting wild greens during the summertime with a handkerchief on her head, a knife, and several garbage bags. And this was like an all-day process where she would come back, wash the greens, boil them. We would drink the juice with olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper. Then we would eat the greens later in the evening. And she was putting olive oil on all the foods. So again, a person with a 3rd or 4th grade education knew much more in the home than my parents, who were physicians in terms of nutrition, because their medical school training really contained no nutrition training. And in fact, at that point was the low-fat craze. So my father was saying, you know, buy the Entenmann's low-fat cake, which was full of sugar. Okay, in the case of Ansel Keys, he had his emergent experience in Piopi. We see some pictures here. I was fortunate to visit yesterday. And of course, this was his experience in Magna Graecia, and he performed the 7-country study, and Crete was mentioned many times, which brings us to the latest effort, which is a group effort, now a collaboration with a large hotel chain in Greece, Grecotel. Their home base is in Crete, but they have 40 hotels throughout Greece, more than 10 destinations. The idea is to have a center for wellness and well-being based on the Cretan paradigm, which you've heard so much about today already. And this has been embraced by the Minister of Tourism, the National Tourism Organization, the governor of Crete and the region, as well as the private tour operators. And a few of us will be fortunate to go there from the 5th to the 9th following this conference. And some of the ideas of the center, using the traditions and history of the Cretan diet as a reference point for education and research, the center will couple varied educational offerings. And what we mean is everything from health conferences to certificates for chefs, for people working in tourism organization, for students, maybe college students on exchanges, and couple all these with hands-on immersion experiences. So the visitors will see, they will hear, they will taste some more, and they will live the unique and unforgettable experiences in Crete as inspired by its land, the people's legendary hospitality, and the history we've heard so much about today, going back perhaps 7,000 years to the first olive oil production and distribution throughout the Mediterranean. I know when Ramon asked me several years ago to give a talk in Barcelona, I showed them a place that were Greek ruins, but it was actually 30 miles from Barcelona. It's called Ampurias today, but it was called Emborio, which means commerce. It was an ancient Greek settlement. So the history is rich, particularly from the 7-country study. And some of us participated in a conference of an immersion type 5 years ago, which we had in Chalkidiki. I think it was a tremendous experience. I believe, Professor Willett, the olive tree you showed from Mount Athos, was it from our trip there? Thank you for including that, which was quite a remarkable way to end the visit. But I believe for many reasons, Crete offers, although Chalkidiki is a wonderful place, don't get me wrong, Crete offers an even greater diversity of excursions and places to visit. It has a more favorable climate, over 300 days of sunshine per year. The temperatures are mild both in winter and in summer. They're less hot than in central Greece because of the moderating influence of the sea. It's one of the largest olive groves in the entire Mediterranean. And I believe with Grecotel, we've established a very worthy and incredible collaboration, because the founder of the hotel, Mr. Nikos Daskaloantonakis, he and his father, so the grandfather of the family, were in the olive oil business before they ever went into hotels. And then 20 years ago, he created this organic farm. He had the vision of preserving the environment. It's one of the first companies in Greece to incorporate sustainability into their vision statements and things like this. So the pictures you see here, these are from the Greco farm, which those of us who are going on the visit is one of the things that we'll see. But it's all organic, and it's quite amazing. And before anyone from Harvard ever bothered them with an idea, they were already doing this for children and for other people from around the world. So there are a lot of videos you can see online, but I think it's a great opportunity. And it's a good opportunity to collaborate, for example, with Piopi. The mayor was very excited to form, in theory, a network or RED of Mediterranean centers. We already have Alessio Fasano as one of our advisors, who is at Harvard, but he's also in Cilento. And I think many of our colleagues, like Yale and Harvard and other schools and universities throughout the Mediterranean. With Ramon, we were talking about Toribera, and hopefully at some point CAA. So I think I'm right on time. I'll stop there and take questions.